Russia, officially known as the Russian Republic, is the largest country in the world by land mass and one of the 10 most populous countries in the world. Today, Russia is one of the world's greatest powers in various ways. The country with the largest area in the world was once the world's greatest power until the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. They are ahead of other countries in various ways, including being the most feared due to its nuclear weapons. With Vladimir Putin's leadership, many countries in the world, especially neighboring countries, feel uneasy. The Russian economy depends on both the private and government sectors. As a BRIC member, Russia is currently experiencing rapid economic growth with the opportunity to gain a place in the G7 economy. Until the 1990s, many of the country's industrial and agricultural sectors were privatized, but energy production and the military remained under the government's jurisdiction. The global financial crisis in 2008 took a similar toll on the Russian economy, but it only had a short-term impact. Russia recovered after 2 years, and since then, has experienced economic growth and productivity due to aggressive actions from the government, making Russia one of the most profitable economies in the world. In this video, we will see how the Russian economy generally works. Keep watching. Russia is located in Europe and Asia, with the Ural Mountains most often seen as the border between the continents of Asia and Europe. Despite this, the country is generally considered European politically and culturally, as about 3/4 of the population lives in the west of the Urals, in Europe. Moscow and St. Petersburg are in the west and are the two largest cities in Russia. Moscow is the capital of Russia, while St. Petersburg is considered the country's cultural capital. Historically, St. Petersburg was the official capital of Russia between 1712 and 1918. Most of the Russian landmass is taken up by the vast Siberian region, which stretches from the Urals to the Pacific and includes much of the Arctic desert and taiga biome, as well as the Lena, Russia's longest river. The brief history of Russia. The unification of Russia largely took place under Ivan the Great, who witnessed it gaining its independence from the Mongols in 1480. Nevertheless, its size and influence saw that it began to challenge other European powers in the 19th century. Russian industrialization also began at this time, but progress was relatively slow compared to other European countries. Slow agricultural problems, food shortage issues, droughts and famines also hindered the country's development progress. The 1900s was the time when Russia began to emerge as a global superpower. However, this century has also brought many challenges for Russia. As European monarchies were gradually replaced by parliaments, the Russian Czars refused to relinquish the same level of power. Furthermore, other factors such as heavy losses in the First World War, food shortages, unequal distribution of wealth, and public dissatisfaction eventually saw workers' strikes leading to the Russian Revolution in 1917. As a result, several major events took place and thus, the Soviet Union was established as the first socialist country in the world in 1922, with powers centered in Russia. History of the Russian economy. The Russian Republic, by virtue of its large size and abundant natural resources, played a major role in the economy of the Soviet Union. In the first decade of the Soviet regime, these resources brought great economic progress, including the rapid development of mining, heavy engineering, the expansion of the railway network, and a massive increase in energy supply. The second phase of Soviet industrial development took place in the 1960s, and it began to have a very strong effect on the Russian Republic. However, in addition to rapid industrial growth, there is significant diversification in industrial output, including limited expansion in consumer goods. A report also states that the Russian economy was in a state of decline in the years before the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The radical economic change. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the Russian government implemented a series of radical reforms designed to transform the economy from one that was centrally planned and controlled to one based on capitalist principles. The main components of the reform include creating privately owned industrial and commercial enterprises, as well as privatizing state-owned enterprises. To encourage privatization, the government issued vouchers to Russian citizens which allowed them to buy shares in privatized firms, although in practice, these vouchers were often sold for cash and collected by entrepreneurs. Commodity and stock exchange systems have also been established. However, the privatization process was slow, and many firms, especially in heavy industry, remained under government ownership. The reforms that began in the 1990s resulted in great hardship for the average Russian citizen. This came as Russia's economy contracted by more than 2/5 in the decade, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The monetary system is in disarray. That is, there is a removal of price controls, which causes a large increase in inflation and prices. The country's currency depreciates, and its income falls sharply. However, the situation began to improve in the mid-1990s, but the economic recovery was disrupted due to the severe financial crisis in 1998. Many banks went bankrupt, and millions of people lost their savings. By the beginning of the 21st century, the recovery measures had begun to have a positive effect on the Russian economy, and it continued to show signs of recovery and stable growth. Stable income from oil exports allowed investment in factories and a devalued currency, making Russian goods more competitive on the international market. The Russian economy today. Currently, Russia practices a mixed economy, which is a system that combines the characteristics of the capitalist market, order, and traditional economy. It cannot be denied that the Russian economy has experienced severe ups and downs since 1991, after the breakup of the Soviet Union and its command economy. Under the leadership of the new president, Vladimir Putin, Russia's economy has started stabilizing. In 2000, a large part of Russia's economy was driven by its energy sector. In terms of international relations, Russia has taken various steps to improve its diplomatic relations with foreign countries. Today, Russia has become a major supplier of natural resources to Europe and the United States. Gazprom is a Russian state-owned gas company and has the largest gas reserves in the world. However, its reserves are dwindling, and prices have fallen. Most experts agree that the Russian economy is controlled by a small group of powerful oligarchs. These wealthy insiders own or manage the main and most important businesses in Russia. President Vladimir Putin is said not to control the oligarchs, rather he mediates between them. This system was started in the 1400s during the expansion of the Grand Duchy of Muscovy. It operated successfully through Caesars and communist regimes. Today, Russia is the largest supplier of oil and natural gas to Europe. It supplies 30% of oil and 40% of natural gas to European countries. Based on the data, the Netherlands and Germany are the largest consumers of the Russian gas industry, if viewed in terms of total gas sales. So, it is not surprising that the economic sanctions implemented by many countries against Russia, because of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, have a huge impact on the Russian economy. In conclusion, the economy for Russia is gradually changing from a planned economy to a market-oriented economy. Today, Russia practices a mixed economic system in developing their economy. With an abundance of gas and natural resources, Russia is ranked as one of the largest economies in Europe. However, due to the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it is undeniable that it will have a great impact on Russia's economic progress. Thank you for watching.